Shemel Shai. Yahweh Shemel Shai. Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
The wisdom is going to lead to the kingdom, which ultimately the kingdom is the government of Israel, the tabernacle of David. When you look at this word, keys, I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom. When you go to that word keys, that keys to the kingdom is the key of David, the tabernacle of David, the government, authority. But when you go to the word for keys, it says what? Kleis. It says, since the keeper of the keys has the power to open and shut, meaning the Lord is going to give us dominion, like he's going to give us judgment. And it says metaphorically in the New Testament to denote power and authority of various kinds. This wisdom is going to lead to us receiving the kingdom, which is authority above, the authority that the Most High Yahweh gave Yahweh Shai. We're going to have that authority. The 144, Lord willing, is that number. But it's authority of various kinds. Authority over the resources, authority over the heathen, authority over, you can implement judgment. You're going to be able to create and manipulate the elements to create things. You're going to be a God on earth. Basically, that's the power that 144 is going to have. Not even all Israel is going to be on the level of the 144. But yeah, that key, that was given to Peter was the head of the church. We fall under that order. That's David. The tabernacle of David will receive all various kinds of power, and the gates of hell will not prevail, against us. But yeah, the key of David. See Revelation 1:18. I am him that liveth and was dead. He conquered death. The firstborn of the dead. First one, the sons of God. He is the Son of God. He conquered death and went back to the right-hand side. Now we're seeking to conquer death and get our glory back. It says, I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive evermore. Amen. I have the keys of hell and death, meaning judgment. Judgment is given into the hands of Yahweh Shai. And we're going to have that power. It says we're going to be able to create plagues on the earth. Like we're going to be a government, but the government is the government of the whole earth. So the keys that were given unto Peter, which is the key of David, is authority. Power over the nations, everything, bro. So.
Yahweh Shemel Shai. Yahweh Shemel Shai. Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakal Kadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. All right. And what we're going to get into today, all right, this morning, news and prophecy going into is all intentional. Okay. It's all intentional. Okay. And what we're seeing, okay, with the American, economy, all right, is what they call a contraction, all right, which is they're shrinking, okay, the economy, they're shrinking the job market, okay, they're devaluing the dollar, okay, they're doing all these things intentionally, okay, for the sake of crashing and collapsing, all right, this old system, okay, like we always go into, it's a controlled, okay, demolition, okay, Let me go into it. Let me see real quick. When economies, let's see. So let's go here real quick. I just looked it up. All right, when the economy begins contraction. Okay, it says when an economy contracts, it experiences a decline in economic activity characterized by lower production, rising unemployment, and decreasing, all right, consumer spending. This period of slowdown, also known as recession, leads to business cutting costs, reducing investment, and often laying off, okay, of workers. Okay, and it says lower economic output, the overall production of goods and services decrease, which is reflected in decline in real gross domestic product, the GDP, rising unemployment as businesses produce less. All right, they need fewer workers. This leads to layoffs and slowdown in hiring, causing the unemployment rate to rise. Decreased consumer spending with job losses and weaker economy. Consumers have less income and confidence, leading them to reduce their spending on goods and services. Reduce businesses investment. Companies often cut back on investing in new equipment, factories, and other capital goods as they face lower sales and profits. And see, the difference between this contraction is companies, okay, are investing in, okay, technology, all right, mainly AI, okay, because these companies, all right, are wanting to set themselves up to be competitive in this new system, okay, because once one company does something, every other company has to follow to survive, okay, and this AI wave, okay, is the newest thing within, all right, these corporations. Okay, and if one is investing heavily into it, the other ones have to follow suit to be able to keep up. Okay, to keep their profit margins. Okay, in a certain area to keep up. Okay, so what we're seeing is an intentional, all right, contraction of the economy. See, this time is not just going to contract, all right, and then, all right, you're going to have a period of growth. No, it's going to contract all the way until it collapses. Okay, and they're going to do what, a reset. Okay, because this recession that's happening now is much different than, all right, the recession of 2008. Okay, this recession, okay, is meant for a collapse. Okay, and these things are prophetic. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's get this in the book of Isaiah, the 19th chapter. All right. This is in the AMP. Okay, so this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 19, and verse 5. It said, the waters from the sea will dry up, and the rivers will be parched and dry. Now, this is speaking from the aspect of what you call an agrarian, okay, economy, when the economy is based off agriculture. Okay, now in this modern world, all right, in this modern society, you know, a lot of the economy is based off, you know, these false currencies, okay, goods, manufacturing, okay. But this is from a perspective of what you call an agrarian society, all right, to where, you know, the rivers and rain and all those things were vital to the economy, okay. It was vital to, you know, the flow of resources and wealth. Okay, when you deal from the aspect of agrarian. All right, so you compare this to today. All right, the water from the sea will dry up, and the rivers will be parched and dry, and that's this current economy. Okay, it's drying up, and it's drying up intentionally. Okay, in hopes to roll out something new. Okay, it says the canals will become foul smelling, the streams of Egypt will thin out and dry up, the reeds and the rushes will rot away, and this is going into decay. Going into a state of decay, and that's what we're seeing being done intentionally with this economy. They're allowing these things to decay. They're allowing the job markets. Okay, they're allowing the money, to just become more inflated, more devalued. They're allowing these things to decay. Like I said, the job market, okay, food insecurity. They're allowing these things. Okay, it says the meadows by the Nile, by the edge of the Nile, and all the sown fields of the Nile will become dry, be blown away, and be no more. The fishermen will lament, cry out in grief. All those who cast a hook into the Nile will mourn, and those who spread nets upon the water will languish. Okay, so these different professions, okay, certain jobs, not only are they laying off, but they don't exist anymore. See, what we're seeing, this is something new, because not only are people being laid off, but that skill is not even being required anymore. Okay, that skill has been outsourced to AI now. Okay, so it not only does uh the job market not be able, to afford workers, okay, but those jobs don't exist anymore. So then they're not just downsizing, okay, for a moment, to store up, capital, then get back to hiring again. No, those jobs are leaving permanently. Okay, that's why they're floating this idea of what, a UBI. Okay, because humans will not be needed in the work market like they were. Okay, this is all New World Order. Okay, theory, man. Well, concepts. Okay, this is New World Order concepts of humans not being needed like that. Okay, and they're rolling it out. And it says the fishermen will lament, okay, cry and grief, and all those who cast a hook into the Nile will mourn, and those who spread nets upon the water will languish, man. So imagine you going to college, you get all these degrees, people boasting their degrees, you see, just to find out that AI has taken that field over. Okay, but you're tens of thousands, maybe, hundreds of $1,000s in student debt, okay, for a career that you're not needed in, for a field that you're not even needed in anymore. Okay, hurt. Okay, it said, moreover, those who make linen from comb flax and those who weave white cloth, all right, white cloth will be ashamed. Yeah, because spending is going down. See, less jobs people have, less spending. Okay, the money is coming to a halt. The circulation of money is coming to a screeching halt. Okay, when you just start, slashing the job market, well, other markets suffer. Okay, you see, because what this economy thrives off consumerism. Well, if the consumer has nothing to consume with, okay, and you got businesses, okay, that survive off consumerism, because you got business that thrive off, service, providing the service, and you have those that thrive off consumerism. Okay, see, if are a plumber, all right, you have a plumbing enterprise where you survive off service, people needing services, essential services. Okay, but if you have a bunch of Airbnbs where you, all right, thrive off people being what, consumers. Okay, traveling. Okay, you have restaurants or You know, you sell a particular good, well, your business thrives off consumerism. Well, if the consumer isn't there, okay, if the consumer is not there, okay, you can't thrive. You know, so we're just going to keep seeing these ripple effects. You know, certain things that they do, all right, they're just going to keep causing ripple effects, okay, through the economy, and they're doing it intentionally, man. Okay, they want businesses to shut down. You know, as we went into how, 2020, saw hundreds of thousands of small businesses, okay, not survive. Okay, and they want these small mom and pop businesses to go under. Okay, because the new world order is just going to be these juiced in major box stores. Okay, these retail cartels. Because now, all right, they're doing a monopoly on retail. Okay, well, you're gonna have a few options, man. Amazon, Walmart, okay, and a few other. Okay, they want to do a monopoly on the food. Okay, that's why we went into like there's a war. Okay, on farmers. Okay, so what we're seeing is just a trickle effect. All right, based on certain these policies ain't them going back and forth in council, the Senate, the House, and the president. They just there. Okay, they're just walking around and taking notes and going back and forth and brainstorming or the best solution. No, these things are being intentionally done, okay, by these think tanks, okay, that understand that they're experts in the market. All right, when you listen to Trump talk, he's not a goddamn expert in anything. Okay, he's a child, he's an idiot. Okay, he's a character. All right, the decision is already made by the time this nigga get to the podium. Okay, he just expressing the decisions already made from on top. Okay, or he just saying something, for a distraction. Okay, well, all these things that are happening to the economy is all intentional. Okay, and it says, moreover, those who make linen, all right, from comb flax, and those who weave white cloth will be ashamed. Those who are the pillars and foundations of Egypt will be crushed. Yep, corporations, man. Certain corporations ain't gonna make it. Like I say, what we're going through now is they're consolidating. They're centralizing everything. Okay, that's why they want push what their digital ID. That's a way to consolidate. Okay, everyone onto one system, and all those who work for wages will be grieved in soul. Okay, so this is all happening by design. You see? So I want to get this video real quick. He's gonna expound on these things. Okay. So let's play this. Play about 10 minutes of it. But he's gonna expound on particular things that's happening, within this economy.
Something is breaking inside the American labor market, and the numbers hit like a detonation. Layoffs have already blasted past 1 million plus. Companies are freezing hiring at the lowest levels in 10 years, and workers now spend an average of 24.5 weeks searching for a job that may not even exist. Corporate debt has surged above $13.7 trillion. Federal debt has crossed $38 trillion, and households are drowning under $1.23 trillion in credit card balances. The economy isn't cooling. It's convulsing. A silent shockwave is moving through every workplace, every paycheck, every household, and it's accelerating faster than anyone expected. The reason America feels unstable is simple. The economic data used to reassure the public is no longer connected to reality. For more than a year, officials have pushed the narrative of a strong labor market, pointing to headline job creation, while quietly revising those same numbers downward months later. When you examine the underlying data that cannot be easily massaged, layoff reports, unemployment duration, hiring freezes, and sector-level contractions, the picture is unmistakable.
It's so easy to become a podcaster with Riverside. First, go to Riverside and open an account. When you're ready to record, just hit rec to capture.
The labor market isn't cooling. It's deteriorating at a pace we've seen since the early 2000s. The most alarming indicator is the explosion of job cuts. Year-to-date layoffs have surged to 1.099 million, a level normally associated with recessions, not expansions. October alone saw 153,074 terminations, representing a 175% increase compared to last year. These aren't isolated events or restructuring blips. They form a synchronized pattern across every major sector. Public, technology, retail, warehousing, and service-based industries are all contracting simultaneously. A genuine expansion never produces this type of uniform employment loss. Layered on top of this is the collapse in hiring momentum. The last 4 months produced the weakest hiring plans for June, July, August, and September in over a decade, signaling that companies aren't just cutting, they've stopped adding. The average monthly hiring plan number sits near 48,000, below the healthy toll to absorb displaced workers. Even the headline-grabbing 203,000 hiring surge in October last when you Amazon's temporary seasonal staffing. Without that single outlier, hiring momentum would have been the worst in 10 years. This imbalance creates a dangerous mismatch. 7.22 million job openings versus 7.42 million Americans searching for work. For the first time since the pandemic shock, there are more job seekers than jobs available. Worse, 1.93 million people have been unemployed for more than 27 weeks, and the average jobless duration has risen to 24.5 weeks. Once long-term unemployment begins climbing, it rarely reverses quickly. Historically, recovery takes years, not months. The real problem is not a lack of effort from workers, it's a structural breakdown in demand. Businesses are cutting because revenue growth is slowing, debt costs are rising, and inflation has shredded purchasing power. When companies stop expanding, the labor market loses its shock absorbers. Every subsequent layoff becomes harder to absorb, and the system begins feeding on itself. The illusion of stability disappears the moment you look at the unedited numbers, and those numbers show a labor market slipping into a deeper and more dangerous phase. Once the illusion of stability is removed, the scale of the employment breakdown becomes impossible to ignore. The United States is now experiencing a level of job destruction that aligns with deep recession behavior, not a so-called soft landing.
Job destruction. Okay, he called it job destruction. You see? All right, they're destroying this old system, man. Okay, and then they give you this hope, that this is just a cycle, that the market is cooling down. Okay, nah, this is job destruction. This is a destruction of their old way. Okay, it's never going back. All right, to how it was. Okay, the elites, they're on to something new. Okay, so just prepare, to see the destruction of the job market. Okay, and the devaluing of the dollar. Okay, and things becoming more and more unaffordable. Okay, this place is being sabotaged. All right, the economy is being sabotaged. You see? So, matter of fact,
The data from the Challenger report is unambiguous. The labor market is contracting at the fastest sustained pace since 2003, and the deterioration is accelerating month after month. The most disturbing indicator is the velocity of cuts. October's 153,074 layoffs aren't a large number. It does not generate a threefold spike in terminations within 30 days. That level of compression signals that corporate leaders are preparing for something far worse than a minor slowdown.
They're preparing for a transition. Okay, these corporations that are in the know, they're preparing for a transition. Okay, and this is Spirit. The video stopped on 441. You know, Abarazza, you know. But yeah, this is what they're preparing for a transition. All right. Meanwhile, while keeping the master distracted, okay, he just threw out. You know, you had this thing where people didn't know whether they was gonna get, you know, their assistance, and you know, people didn't know whether they was gonna have, you know, jobs going into the holidays, and okay, they were gonna get any checks going into this time, and so it was uncertainty. Okay, and then he repped it back up, opened it back up, and started to make you promises. So now, okay, it gives the illusion that they're trying to revive this thing. Okay, they're hearing, you know, people, you know, complain and have gripes and concerns about the economy. So now they're giving you the illusion that they're trying to revive this thing, you know, with tariff dividend checks or rebate checks, whatever they want to call it. Okay, but no, they're dismantling right before your eyes. It's all intentional. Okay, and they're preparing for a transition. Okay.
Year-to-date cuts now stand at 1.099 million, surpassing every pre-pandemic year going back to the aftermath of the Great Recession. Even more alarming is how widespread the downsizing has become. Government entities alone have eliminated 37,000 positions, a rarity outside large fiscal crises. The technology sector, a consistent job creator for more than a decade, has slashed 141,000 roles, and service-based industries cut another 63,000. This is not isolated weakness inside a single sector. This is synchronized contraction across the backbone of the U.S. economy. The structural nature of these cuts is further confirmed by the surge in organizational downsizing announcements. October saw nearly 450 separate employers announce formal layoff plans, up from 400 the previous month. The fourth quarter typically a period when companies avoid bad optics, yet the financial distress periods. Historically, this type of fourth quarter downsizing precedes full-scale recession recognition. Equally important is what these cuts represent. Cost containment pressure, not efficiency gains. Companies confronting rising debt, eliminating workers to prevent balance sheet collapse. This is not innovation. This is triage. Taken together, these numbers reveal an economy shifting from expansion to contraction at extraordinary speed. The job market is no longer absorbing shocks. It is transmitting them downstream. And as every major sector reduces headcount simultaneously, the system loses its stabilizers, stage for even more severe economic consequences.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you joining us at our...
The collapse in employment isn't happening in a vacuum. A second force is accelerating the damage. The rapid unregulation of artificial intelligence into core business operations. For decades, automation replaced physical labor. Today, AI is replacing cognitive labor. Administrators, analysts, coders, project coordinators, customer support teams, and back-office infrastructure that once formed the spine of American employment. And unlike previous technological transitions, this one is happening at a speed the economy cannot absorb. The October data reveals the scale of disruption. 31,000 layoffs were attributed directly to AI adoption in a single month, more than any documented month in modern U.S. labor history. Year to date, AI-driven cuts total 48,000, and these numbers represent only what companies publicly acknowledge. Many firms quietly reclassify these cuts as restructuring, masking the true impact of automation. The displacement is accelerating, not plateauing. Companies are deploying AI aggressively, because cost-saving incentives have never been higher. With corporate debt burdens exceeding $13.7 trillion, interest expenses climbing, and margins being squeezed, replacing a $60,000 employee with a $5,000 per year. AI system is no longer a strategic decision. It's a survival reflex. This is why entire departments are being eliminated rather than downsized. Once AI begins handling the workload of 10 employees, that labor demand disappears permanently. The most concerning element is the asymmetric impact. AI is not only cutting jobs, it is preventing new ones from being created. For every role replaced, future vacancies that would normally open during expansion cycles never materialize. This suppresses hiring pipelines, depresses entry-level opportunities, and intensifies long-term unemployment. The result is a widening gap between job seekers and available roles, especially in white-collar fields once considered secure. Economists have warned that once automation outruns labor absorption, the market enters a structural inversion. That inversion is now visible in the data. The mismatch between 7.22 million job openings and 7.42 million active job seekers grows as AI erases mid-skill positions that once filled the middle of the economy. The effect compounds every month. AI was sold as a productivity revolution. In reality, it has become a labor market accelerant, multiplying the damage caused by an already contracting economy. As companies automate their way through financial stress, the shockwave cascades directly into unemployment lines, making the recent surge in job cuts not only predictable, but irreversible. The acceleration of AI-driven cuts is only one side of the crisis. The deep
Yeah, man. I'll put the link, because it got some pretty good, info. Okay. Well, like he said, these jobs are not only uh shrinking, but they're being taken off the market. Okay. So what's happening, it's like playing musical chairs, and AI is constantly taking away the chairs, so more people are being pushed into unemployment. Okay. But less employment opportunity. All right. Employment opportunity is shrinking. Okay. So you have a lot of people now on the outside looking in. People saying that they put in hundreds of applications, went on 3, 4 different interviews with one company and still, no job. Okay. Because those jobs aren't there anymore. Okay. That's why I say if you have, wherever you at, like El Ariala, he goes into it, wherever you working at, this ain't the time, all right, to try to job hop unless you got, something solidified. Okay. But just jumping out there on the whim, this ain't that time. Okay. Because ain't much out there. Okay. And then another thing too is these employers know that people are desperate for jobs, wages go down. There's no incentive, okay, to pay, fair wages or decent wages, because these wages are nowhere near fair, because that's I had this chart, man. I forgot the name of it. All right, let me see if I can find this chart real quick. People should get paid. See if I can find it. I meant to show it a while ago. Okay, I think that's it. This might be it. Oh man, they tripping. Yeah, so I got a few things pulled up. It won't let me pull that up. But let's go here to this. All right, so I asked can the economy, all right, be sabotaged? All right, it says yes. An economy can be deliberately sabotaged. Economic sabotage involves using a variety of tactics to undermine a nation's economy with the intent of creating instability, weakening the government, or causing harm to the general population. And see, this is what America has been doing, to foreign countries, for decades. What you call economic hitman. Well, guess what? The economic hitman, all right, is performing at his home base now. Okay, you see. So foreign governments as a form of economic warfare. All right, says sabotage can be carried out by various actors, including foreign governments as a form of economic warfare. All right, eternal groups or individuals such as terrorist organizations, disgruntled employees or political opponents, a nation's own government through self-sabotaging policies or corruption. Through self-sabotaging policies or corruptions. And this is what's happening, okay, in America, man. All these governments, because all of them are self-sabotaging, all right, position themselves for the new system. Okay, so they self-sabotaging these old systems. Okay, and this is what we're seeing happening, man. Okay, and it says economic warfare has been a tactic for centuries from ancient sieges and blockades intended to starve a city into submission to modern financial sanctions and cyber attacks, man. Okay, and what do they want to starve you in submission to, man? This NWO. Okay, that's what they want to starve people in submission to, is this NWO, man. All right, so let's go there, because what we're seeing is a big consolidation, okay, of government, okay, of economy. All right, they're consolidating these systems, man. Okay, it's so you look at the word consolidation. It says the action or process of making something stronger or more solid. The action or process of combining a number of things into a single, more effective or coherent whole. Okay, so this devil, he wants to make, all right, his rulership more solid by what? Combining a number of things into a single, more effective, a coherent whole, which is one world government, one world currency, okay, one world religion under Satan. Okay, this is what this devil, okay, is doing. Okay, he's consolidating all these different governments, all these different currencies into one. Okay, to make, okay, his control more solid, to make his rulership more solid. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's go back. All right. See, brothers got a few precepts we can touch on. Yeah, this is the brother. All right, Yahweh's will and testament, Isaiah 19:15. And it says, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, all right, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Okay, because it's all being, okay, dismantled. Okay, and if you're not, all right, if you're not within, okay, the inner circle of being in the know, okay, you're finna be dismantled. Okay, they're finna be brought to nothing. You see, so certain corporations, because all these corporations, they not in the inner circle. Certain corporations ain't gonna make it. Major corporation, okay. It's only a few. If you're not in that inner circle, okay, you're gonna be thrown in with the poor. Okay, they finna make a new separation. All right, they finna reconstruct social classes. All right, so that's why if a brother can get that, Revelation 13:16. All right, let's get that, and that goes into the new social classes. Okay, that these devils, all right, finna establish. It says this Psalms 20, and 7. This is another one from the brother Yahweh's Will and Testament. Psalms 20 and 7 says, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our power, man. You see, and see, this is going back to the comfort, the value of the comforter, man. Because as we go through these things, all right, and we're in the midst of it, but we know, that we have provisions. The Lord has already has provisions laid out, because we're going to be affected. Different. We as believers, brothers, you few sisters, man, we're going to all be directly affected by the things that happen. Some more than others, and some before others, but we all going to be affected. Okay, this ripple effect is going to make its way, until each, believer to directly affect them in some type of way. So we have to understand that now we have a power, okay, that already has provision laid out for these times. Okay. But if you trust in this system, that's why I says, woe. When you read Isaiah 31 and 1, all right, it says, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. Okay, so if this is if you're dependent, okay, on this system for your stability and your security, for your nourishment, okay, you're finna be destroyed, man. Okay, because along with him contracting the economy, okay, he wants to contract the population. Okay, a lot of people gonna get caught up in the judgment of this depopulation agenda as well. Okay, to where losing your job and your livelihood, your lifestyle is one thing. Okay, but there's gonna be mass civil unrest and violence. Okay, that's gonna ensue as well. That's another effect of because you have all these people that can't afford anything anymore. Okay, you create a situation of the have and the have-nots, man. It's gonna get real grimy out here. Okay, it says, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but they look not, all right, unto the Holy One, okay, of Israel, neither seek the Lord. And for the longest, Americans have enjoyed, okay, the pleasure of strong military and strong economy. Okay, so they've been able to have this spending power and dwell in safety. But see, now we're transitioning until civil unrest, until extreme poverty, until starvation. Okay, a completely new reality. Okay, in America, man. Okay, let's go here. Let's get this from the brother. Isaiah 30 and 3 says, this is the brother Yahweh's Will and Testament. Isaiah 30 and 3, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt, okay, your confusion, okay, because trusting in this place, all right, is going to lead you, all right, to being confused, okay, because as this place is being dismantled, okay, the Lord is opening up judgment, okay. You see, you think, all right, that your savings account, your 401k, all right, you have a what you call job security and this and that going on, and when these things begin to collapse, okay, when the normalcy that you've been used to is snatched away, and you're thrown into a completely different reality, okay, it's gonna create confusion, man. And this is why the scriptures have us constantly going over these prophecies, man. We're rehearsing the times to come. We're constantly going over these things, man. Okay, constantly going over, all right, these times that we're entering into. Okay, this from the brother, all right, Kazak Ban Yahweh. Okay, because we're going to be familiar with these things, and the Lord going to put a spirit on us to endure. All right, but we're already being familiar with, all right, the times to come by being occupied in prophecy. For brother to get that, so Rock 39 and 1. Revelation 13 and 16 is from the brother Kazak Ban Yahweh. It says, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark, a charagma, in their hand or in their forehead. So it says he calls it all right, both small and great, rich and poor. So that's two social classes, man. You know, because what are they calling the middle class now? The upper poor. You see, showing you that he's changing this whole social construct of poor, middle class, upper middle, rich, wealthy, super rich. No, it's going to be the rich and the poor. Okay, and even people who, were millionaires on this side, they're going to be pushed over into the poor. Okay, because he's consolidating wealth. Okay, amongst a few elite families. Okay, and everyone else will own nothing. Okay, and be happy. Let them tell it. Okay, it says, and that no man may buy or sell save he that have the mark and the name of the beast. All right, it says, or the number of his name. Okay, so this device is going to be mandatory. It's going to be mandated. And in order to participate in this society, this new society, all right, you're going to have that device. Okay, in order to be a consumer. Okay, in order to subscribe, because everything will be based on subscriptions. You see, you're going to be renting life from the devil in this new system. Okay, it's already, sort of like that now, but this gonna be on a whole nother level where you're just renting life from this nigga, man. Okay, in this new system. Okay, so you're gonna either be of that elite class, okay, or you're gonna be of the poor. You see, it won't be no, all right, in between. Okay, yeah. So let's go here, and we'll I think the brother got it. Yeah, we'll end it with this one. This the brother. The time of the end is near. Sirach 39:1. It says, but he that giveth, okay, his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies, man. So we're occupied in prophecy, man, because this is what the Lord is going to bring to the earth. Prophecy is the future will of the Lord. Okay, this is the Lord's agenda. Okay, when we tap into prophecy, man, so we're gonna stay occupied in prophecy, man. Watch this devil, and see what he got going on, and constantly report. And also, too, I don't know if you brothers ever had this situation. Some of them, it just started happening this morning. So when I try to go to chat, okay, well, it just popped up. It fixed itself. Okay, it's cool. I was gonna show y'all something, but it's cool. I guess we back now. But yeah, man. All right. We're going into a transition. Okay, so everything that we're seeing happening has been done intentionally. Okay, the devil, is sabotaging, the old system. Okay, and preparation to bring in a new. Okay, so we're going to be affected in this transition, but we're going to be okay. All right, the provisions are already laid out. So just stay within Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, stay trusting, stay believing, stay patient, in the straight gate, and Lord will we endure, so that's the point. Lord will you brothers. All right. And you sisters was edified once again. We'll give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the whole elect. Shalom.